I'm here with Joan Benoit Samuelson here at the preamble to the Beach to Beacon run. Joan, I'm going to ask you a few questions about young athletes and their nutritional needs and kind of their progression and distance type of running questions. So let's start off with young girls and girls who are concerned about their weight and are using running as a means to control their weight. Do you have any tips for that type of athlete?
Well, I actually would like to disassociate running and weight gain or weight loss. I think anybody who runs should be first and foremost passionate about the sport. They should love what they're doing. They should thrive on the training. They should set goals for themselves and try to improve their times as opposed to their images. And I think that no young person, whether they're male or female, should engage in high mileage or really severe or dedicated training until they're 14 years of age. I think it's important for young people, especially girls, to play a variety of sports and to gain strengths from the different sports in which they engage. And that's one of the reasons at the Beach to Beacon we don't have a age group category under the age of 14. We have 14 and under, and we don't go 12 and under or 10 and under, because I don't think young people should be running excessive mileage. It's okay for young people to run an occasional mile race or a 5K, but we really don't like to see young people pushing distances until they're 14. And so for me, I've always adhered to as balanced a diet as possible. I don't take supplements. I try to eat 3 meals a day and fill in as needed. Life sometimes gets busy, and I have to remind myself to stop long enough to have breakfast. But I think I don't have any real dietary restrictions. I eat as I feel I need to eat. I do eat some meat. I eat fish and poultry. I eat a lot of vegetables. I eat organic when possible and locally grown. But the key to my success, I think, has been a balanced life and a balanced diet. Now, in athletics, we talk about the mind, body, spirit triad, and I think it's important to balance those three components of the triangle.
So when you're in heavy training, or maybe even 5 or 10 years ago, what would your caloric consumption be?
I have no idea.
Really?
I've never counted calories, and I think that's where young people get into trouble.
Yeah.
Just counting calories.
Interesting. But do you think that you eat more than the normal person?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So I think there's a danger when you eat more than the normal person, that, especially for young kids, that they tend to eat stuff that the extra is stuff that's not good for them. So that's something that they should be looking out for.
Well, I have some weaknesses. I mean, I do like sweets, but I also like fruit. I also like carbohydrates. I eat a lot of breads. I eat a fair amount of grains. Spaghetti is a big part of my pasta. It's a big part of my diet. But so, again, it's balanced as much as possible.
So it was interesting to hear you say about the distance aspect of running for young athletes, because I've seen several occasions where, especially high school kids or middle high school kids, who are pretty good runners, and they have successful seasons during the academic year, and then in the summertime they tend to, because most of the races are longer races, they tend to run the longer races and a lot of them, and I've seen a lot of cases where kids get burnt out. So it was interesting to hear you say that they should try and control that. Do you have any guidelines on how quickly people should increase their mileage, and are there limits to like days on, days off? Or
I think mileage should be limited up until the age of 14. I played 3 different sports, and actually 4 during my high school years, and I carried field hockey into the first 2 years of college. I think that, again, it's balance, and I learned different, strengths, or obtained different strengths from every sport in which I participated. So, again, it's balance and it's not pushing the barrier too hard, too fast. I think that's when young people run into injuries. Overuse injuries are common amongst young athletes. And I think if they're playing in different arenas as far as sports are concerned, they should allow ample time to make this transition between seasons. So if you're going from a soccer season to an indoor track season, or from basketball to outdoor track, you're using different muscle groups and power and speed versus maybe endurance. So take the time to adjust, and I think most schools require that an athlete take a week or 2 off between sports, and I think that's a good thing.
So when you were playing high school sports other than track, you would not be running also, or
Well, running is
outside
the
of
basis of all activity,
right?
really. So I was running a lot on the field hockey.
Right.
That was my forte, so to speak. I could get the ball
Yeah.
down the field. Now, could I get it into the goal? Not
Yeah.
all the time. And basketball was the same way. I could get the ball down the court, but when it came to shooting, forget it.
Yeah.
And I played a lot of tennis, and I skied competitively as well in high school. So when I made the transition, I made it gradually. I did keep track of my mileage. I did keep a running log, but I never, as I said earlier, counted calories.
Mm-hmm. So have you seen the Bowdoin field hockey team lately?
Yes.
Yeah. How do you think you do on that team these days?
It's a faster game, that's for sure, on the turf. But I don't know if I would even come close to making the team these days.
Yeah.
And had soccer been around when I was in high school or college, I might have become a soccer player, and maybe I never would have discovered running.
Really?
Until later
So
in life. And that's not all bad. I meet several runners who discover running in their 40s and 50s after raising families, and you know, it's a whole new world for them, and they set goals for themselves. And some of the best age group runners now are runners who discovered running in later years or came back to it after high school and college careers.
Well, you see a lot of high school runners these days who have started out in other sports, and either because they're not good enough or they're not competitive enough or whatever, they gravitate towards running as their preferred sport, and they all seem very happy with the decision, has been my observation. So there's a certain camaraderie to the sport of track that other sports, I think, lack in some degree, because there's a certain competitiveness in the other sports between each other, like who's playing and who's not, whereas in track it's kind of an individual effort and you're supported by your teammates whether you do well or not. So I have noticed that. You find that to be a true statement?
No, I think so. I think running is affordable and accessible. So it's an easy outlet for people. It's an easy way to stay fit. And, you know, a young athlete can usually go right into the sport and start running from the beginning. An older athlete might want to start a walk-jog program or another beginner program before they really get up to speed with the longer distances, 5K and 10K, and then on to perhaps a half marathon or even a marathon. I tell people all the time, you don't have to run marathons to be a runner.
Yeah.
And so many people in our sport think they need to run a marathon, and some of them aren't cut out to run a marathon, and sometimes that ends a running career because people who shouldn't be running marathons sustain injuries that prevent them from training regularly after the 26.2 mile distance.
It seems in the marathon, it seems that the 10K runners, are moving towards the marathon at a younger age than they used to. I mean, used to be like maybe 30 years old is when people started running marathons, but now it seems like they get out of college and they're an accomplished 10K runner and they want to all try and do a marathon. And it seems like not the. I think marathons, in a lot of ways, are geared more to people who have better endurance and not so much raw energy and speed that a younger person has.
Well, ran my first marathon as a Bowdoin College senior, and it was just meant to be. I mean, that's when I was ready to run. But I didn't run an excessive number of marathons. I've never run more than 2 marathons a year. And when you count up all the years that I've been involved with the sport, I've run fewer marathons than most people might think. I think, the preparation for the marathon takes as long as
Right.
ample recovery.
Hence your longevity, I guess, huh?
And,
Absolutely.
we have 2 children, and one has run marathons. She's run 4 marathons at the age of 26 and almost 26, and our son has yet to run a marathon at age 23, but he's starting to talk about it. And, I just don't think high school runners should be running marathons, nor do I think runners graduating from college who still have things to prove on the track should move up to the longer distance of the marathon. And Ben True's a perfect example. He's having great success on the track. Ran several amazing 5Ks this year, and as far as I know, he hasn't targeted a marathon, and I think he'd like to get through the next Olympics before he even thinks about running a marathon. And I think that's a healthy outlook. Once you start running marathons, it's hard to go back and then develop your speed.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Joan.
Thanks,
I appreciate
gentlemen.
it.